I wanted to make this video because Altair is my favorite character in all of Assassin's Creed and one of my favorite fictional characters of all time. I think that there is so much depth to him that the first game doesn't really give that you can get from Revelations, the book, and other writings that you see across the games about Altair. The character of Altair Ibn L'ahad is a fascinating study of the complexity of human psychology, particularly when set against the backdrop of the ideological and physical battles of the Crusades. Born into the Creed in 1165 in a Levantine village of what is now modern-day Syria, Altair's upbringing was steeped in the teachings and lifestyles of the assassins from a very young age. His early life was marked by tragedy, with the death of his mother shortly after childbirth and his father executed not long after, leading to his adoption by the Order and the Assassins and training under Al-Mualim. This already gives us a character that is predisposed to normalizing violence and not questioning his beliefs. When you're born into an order like the Assassins, a parallel we can draw with Desmond Miles as well, who was born into a family of assassins, it's very difficult to question the dogma and the belief that the creed imposes upon you. Altair's psychology is deeply influenced by his experience, starting with the diverse religious backgrounds because he had a Christian mother and a Muslim father. And even though this could pose an interesting thought of how maybe this background led him to have more freedom of thought than the other assassins when Al-Mualim rebelled, this diversity was cut short by their deaths, pushing him into a life dedicated entirely to the creed from a very, very young age. His upbringing instilled in him a strong sense of duty and discipline. And these two words are particularly important because they stand in stark contrast to the ideals of freedom that the assassins preach.
What is it to transcend?
To recognize nothing is true and everything is permitted. That laws arise not from divinity but reason. I understand now that our creed does not command us to be free. It commands us to be wise.
Most of his life as an assassin revolved around not having freedom and rather being a living weapon for his master. And this also left him with a lot of deep-seated issues regarding trust and attachment. His journey is one marked by redemption, from his fall from grace due to arrogance and a breach of the Assassin's Creed, to the painstaking efforts to reclaim his status and understand the deeper truths of his order and Templar enemies. His path in his life showcased a transformation from a very arrogant and impulsive youth that was led to be so ignorant because of his high skill and his lack of experiences outside of the creed, to a reflective and philosophical leader that had the patience, mercy, and humility to break up the Assassin's Creed, identify its hypocrisies, and improve the order for the better worldwide. He sought not just to follow the creed, but to understand its deeper meanings and implications, something that we see Ezio do later on in life, learning from Altair himself. His psychological development to me is characterized by his struggle with arrogance and humility and the quest for knowledge. Altair, even from a young age, even when he was arrogant, was so deeply interested in the truth, and this might be something that links back to his childhood and how the circumstances surrounding the death of his father are shrouded in mystery and he never really got as much closure as he wanted, especially as a young boy, but also because the Assassin's Creed didn't allow him to question his beliefs. To question the dogma of the Assassin's Creed in the Levantine time was as close to betrayal as you could get without it really being betrayal. It was kind of frowned upon for Altair to question things, and when he started doing that with Al-Mualim, he got reprimanded quite a lot, even though he did keep on pushing. It's clear that Altair had a very difficult relationship with the idea of truth and knowledge that his conversations with the Templars and the targets that he killed only exacerbated. His initial arrogance, which leads to a significant failure, kind of acted as a catalyst for introspection and growth. It was the point where Altair realized why he wanted to know the truth and how important it was to ask questions and think for yourself, which obviously thematically for Assassin's Creed is really interesting, but psychologically for someone who has been shrouded from the outside world and born into the creed is very interesting as well. The narrative arc that sees him demoted only to slowly earn back his rank and respect kind of serves as a psychological journey from hubris to wisdom. His relationships, particularly with his mentor and with Maria, a woman he initially encounters as an enemy, further complicates his psychological landscape, introducing themes of love, betrayal, and the complexities of human connection. It must be very difficult for Altair to truly trust a woman like Maria, shows a lot of character depth that probably occurred over many, many years. I cannot imagine that being betrayed by the mentor and the only person that you've known to be a father figure, to be betrayed by so many people within your own order, including Abbas, later on in life, can be a recipe for a very, very painful existence that I think Maria and his sons kind of soothed as he went all around the world, including hunting the Khans with his sons. Altair's story to me is a testament to the power of personal growth and the quest of understanding beyond the black and white notions of right and wrong. To me, he is the proof that nurture is almost as important as nature, and where you're born and your environment molds so much of your own psychology. However, even if you're born in adversarial circumstances, it is never ever too late to change the trajectory of your life, to change your psychology, your worldview, your blueprint for love, trust, and relationships. And Altair is a perfect example of this. He had the perfect blueprint to not be able to trust or love outside of himself because of the tragedy revolving his parents, because of how Al-Mualim kind of treated him, or almost like groomed him into being like the ultimate assassin, the weapon that doesn't question his freedom while fighting for it. And it's very interesting to see how his story is kind of like the testament that even though he who increaseth knowledge increases wisdom, because even though it is true that he who increaseth knowledge increaseth sorrow, they also increase freedom, because knowledge is power. His life embodies the Assassin's Creed maxim of nothing is true and everything is permitted. Not as a call to nihilism per se, but as an invitation to seek deeper truths and understand the shades of grey in human morality. His development from a master assassin to a thoughtful leader illustrates the potential of change and growth within even the most dogmatic and disciplined of individuals. The one thing that I will say about Altair's psychological profile is that his beliefs and his philosophical writings don't always match exactly what we see in gameplay, and particularly when you see that a lot of the gameplay is canonized in novels, he has a lot of disregard for life that he considers to be non-consequential or not as important. He has a lot of respect for his assassins and wants to value the life of all of his assassins, but even guards who are technically just doing their jobs, or, you know, in the game, people who are preachers and are bribed, tend to be just obstacles that he can stab his way through when he's trying to complete his target. Altair does seem to, even until his death, believe that the ends always justify the means, which is kind of hypocritical in the context of his philosophical writings, but still very interesting to think about. This is just a quick and interesting psychological evaluation from someone who's not a psychologist on Altair and what I think his story shows from psychological and philosophical perspective. But I'd love to hear your thoughts down below, and if you want me to make more videos like this, make sure to let me know. This kind of stemmed from a video that I made a while ago about how you have to be psychologically unsustainable to be an assassin, which is a video that if you're interested in, you can watch right now.